Hi guys, welcome to Crazy4Crew. Today we have Leslie Punkett. She lives in Los Angeles. She's worked as a film and digital loader. So she's coming to you today to tell you what all that entails, how to get in it, and maybe what you can do if you're interested in doing it. So let's welcome her to the show, Leslie Punkett. Glad to have you here.
Glendale, California, grew up in that general region. I did various careers. My family had a business. They owned a business, automotive business, for 40 years that I helped operate and do bookkeeping, which then led to I also got licensed to do hair in high school. It was a trade school rather than a college that I chose. But ultimately, I ended up at Warner Brothers Studios doing clerical work and parlayed that into working in the camera department, which unfortunately no longer exists. That was like sort of a backdoor. Well, there's many ways to get into Hollywood. Well, I have various friends because we've all lived here our whole lives. And the studios is sort of like, I always describe to people from mid-country, it's like the spoon factory or a factory of this region. So you would just go work for the factory, essentially, because it had benefits. It has all the, attractive things that working for someone else rather than yourself has. Benefits, pension, a security, sort of, depending on what you pick. Plenty of resources as far as expenses, so you feel like you're in a more secure situation than possibly either opening up your own business or it was just like a bigger company situation. So I could have gone security, because I had various different connections in that particular studio, as well as Disney a bit, but I landed in 1995 at a clerical position. I transferred from a clerk, to digital film loading via the job I had at Warner Brothers. I was able to be in touch with people in the camera department, and the job I had availed me to assist them in what was necessary to complete their job, which was to fulfill expendable orders and things like that through the store I worked in. So I was able to build a trust and a work relationship with them, and they said, come and train to do this because we think you would be great for this position. And I just, again, working in Hollywood, you have to realize there is a lot of internship. It is not, you just get to be elevated. Even if you're a relative of someone in these days and connected to someone, you still have to prove yourself. You still have to do the work. It's not like you just, very few people, it's like winning the lotto. Very few people get to exalted positions. You have to do the work. And the work a lot of the time is working for free, doing extra hours. So I would work as a clerk for 8 hours, and then I would go to the camera department and do everything that wasn't covered under a union position freely. So I would work as an intern for 4 hours, 3 nights a week after I'd worked an 8-hour day. And I went there which was great training for the 13, 14 plus hours that are required in a production situation. There are different requirements pertaining to different unions. The camera union, specifically speaking, needs 100. I believe it's 100 consecutive hours. There's different rules that pertain to different unions as to what you need to qualify. Regardless, again, your college experience or whatever, you still have to work a certain amount of days on an actual union production to qualify, and then you pay money. If the production allows you to, it's a selective amount of rules and things that you need to constantly stay abreast with, as far as like, what are the rules, what are the requirements, what is the production working under, the agreements that they're working under, which is interesting because the job I hold now is dealing with basic, contract agreements. So I'm learning a lot about that. And the job I once held has propelled me to the job I am now. But it's important to know when you agree to do a job, union or non-union, that you understand those rules before you accept the job. I worked within a union job allowed by the people I was working under. So they okayed it. I was already a union employee within the clerical union. So they allowed me to work a union job, not being in this union because I was already in that union. Everybody has a different story, a different way of how, and that's what's so organic about working in this industry, is that everyone has a different path. There is no like set path. You kind of have to just work really hard and be extremely involved in what it is that you want to pursue, and then plan, do the things that are necessary. Okay. Film loading entails inventory of the actual footage. It entails doing the analog downloading and loading of film, which a lot of people in this generation don't even understand what that is. It's an actual physical thing that you load into, like you used to load into a camera, but it loads into a magazine. You have to be able to take direction. You have to be able to learn very much quickly on the fly. You have to be engaged in not just what's going on set, but your own specific job in like a camera truck. So you want to get in good with transportation, because your department is going to want to know, like, where is the truck parked, how, and that you will need to know pertaining on where the set is. So if you're loading film, it's very much different than digital downloading, because it takes more it takes more time to download film as an analog than digital. I would say 3/4. There is still very much a sought after employment of film, but it is mostly digital. And the thing of it is that a lot of times productions want you to bring your own equipment, which would include, a computer, a downloading system, they will usually provide the drives because they want to control the content. So, and again, this is where instructions, being able to follow instructions, being able to coordinate with various departments, because you're dealing with production, post-production. As a loader, you're dealing with a lot of departments. It's not just I go in and I'm working with the camera department. You need to work with all the way from payroll to the UPM. Like, you're working with everyone.
What do you do with everyone?
Well, you're a script supervisor, and I worked with you.
Right, but I mean, but other people don't know what you did. So what do you do as working with these different departments?
Like I said, you're trying to create a healthy, good work environment with people to facilitate your job, which is when you're told by your camera department, the film has run out of film and or digital space, it is up to you to already be preempting that, action of changing out the film, changing out the card. Now, you have said film card in your possession. You go back to your truck. You must be able to record what it is that they've given you, whether, there's a film roll, there's all the information. If it's film, you have emulsion, you have footage. The production company is going to want to know how much footage was good, what the script supervisor says they want to use, because film is different. Like, usually in digital, they just want everything because it's cheap and easy to look at everything and pick what they want. Film, it's a bit different. They have to develop everything, which costs money. They then have to transfer everything from film, analog to digital, costs money. Time is money. Then they, so film is a bit trickier nowadays because people are trying to cut corners, and you have to be very diligent about your footage, even waste ends. It's the unwanted footage at the end of a roll that will not be able to be shot on. So they will take the rest of the end of that film roll. So say you have a 400-foot roll. It was done on a high-speed Steadicam. They roll to, say, 325 feet. There may be between 65, 70 feet left on that roll. A lot of productions are not going to use that because it will be gone in seconds, not minutes. And so they will waste that and recycle it. The digital capacity has run its course. You will usually know ahead of time. Your department will contact you. Again, the nature of the job that you're asking me to describe is one facet of the job. It's very important to learn set etiquette and how to connect with other people, being other departments. But they will call you on the radio and they will say, you need to come in, whatever, however they talk. We're switching up cards. Again, your basic job as a film loader, digital loader, is to be a bookkeeper as well. So you're notating the card number, the scenes that it contains, whatever the production is asking of you to retain of that information. So you're trying to keep records of the information that's actually there. So again, if they want to know, like, I want to look at scene this, take that, you can just go right there and pull it up. Whether it's film or digital, you have a paper trail that says, okay, well, it's on roll B16 this day. It was take 3 and we used a 40 millimeter, because all of those notes now come from your second AC and things like that. So that really depends on their level of schooling. So let's say someone went to film school and they have all the paper and degrees and all that. Unfortunately, unless you're connected and you have someone that you know prior that's like, oh yeah, go do this or whatever, I would say definitely start off at a rental house, start off, even, I know this sounds very demeaning to some people, but even if you get a job on a lot, and still work on your own craft. I mean, nowadays people are doing YouTube and, doing their own kind of thing. And if it looks good, a lot of people are willing and accepting to, look at it. But the nature of it has changed so much in the last 30 years. That it's different. But if you were to come out here, I would say, be willing to work really hard, be willing to get up early and stay up late, eat healthy, keep your brain together, because it really is important of not just your connections, but your willingness to do things that maybe necessarily you won't get paid for, or build connections that I would say go and work at rental houses, Panavision, Auto Nemens. There's various, even Film Tools now has rental equipment. Go work there, get to know the people. I now work at Local 600 ICG. So at the end of my career, I'm still trying to be engaged, have a union job, be encouraging to our members. And my job prior, film loading and digital loading and all of that, the bookkeeping aspect helped propel me and prepare me for the job I'm doing now. You have to be committed. You have to be willing to work 12 hours a day. That is the least you will ever be called for a production job. The very least you will be asked for a production job is 12 hours. They won't even call you in for less than that. But that does not include travel time, your own getting prepared. If you are on time to a job of what your call time says, you are late. Again, it depends on when the production has provided time for you to prepare, right? So you have so much time to get things to where they need to be to run successfully, and a production knows that. Order film, get my darkroom ready, clean, because I would always need cleaning. Make sure that everyone in my department was comfortable and ready to go when we got there on Monday morning. We would have, you have to make sure you have radios. Everyone has working headsets, because communication is key. Absolute key. When you don't have communication, especially now with everyone wearing all the COVID gear and everything, if you don't have a good headset where you can understand and hear what people are asking of you, that's where the breakdown starts, because you're being asked for lenses and different things very rapid fire. And if you can't hear people, you're not understanding what they're asking. Regardless of the department and where you're working, that is so imperative, because you're in charge of, even if someone else is doing your time cards, you're still ultimately in charge of what you sign, how long you're working for, what you're going to get in 20 years as far as pension and all that, keeping track of everything. So that's imperative. I will also add, as a side benefit, I feel that personal hygiene is imperative. Like even more than when you're in high school. You have to have good personal hygiene. You cannot go in there smelling bad. You are working so close with people, and you just, that is a very important thing of the job. But yes, taking care of good clerical skills, good in my position was important. Uh, Being on time is excruciatingly important. So if you know that you have a job and there's going to be traffic, leave way more earlier than you thought you should. Just being cognizant of your area, stay clean, stay neat, talk less, listen more. Get to know the equipment, utmost importance. How batteries work. What are the best? Because even if you're not asked, eventually your knowledge may come into play, as far as like, well, these batteries last longer than these batteries. This rental house has better equipment than that, or has more availability to equipment. So I would say work at various, in this department, I would say work at various rental houses, get to know as many people as you can in this arena. Well, every camera is different on how they receive the information, as well as how how the lenses fit. There's only certain lenses that fit on certain cameras. You have different camera heads that only fit on, under certain cameras. It's part of my job, as well as the first, again, it's all communication. So the first is sitting right next to the camera and it's making noise. So they tell the second, hey, this is like, something's not right. Da, da, da. Then they come to me and say, we need, someone to come in and calibrate, whether it be, or we need a new lens. This one isn't right. We would recalibrate monitors, whether it be on the camera or at Video Village. We were in charge of the equipment and the running of the equipment, as well as, we would have to schedule people that worked at the rental house to come in, technicians that would come in and either, fix cameras. We would send cameras back, pieces back, get more pieces. Your job is the workings of the department, and their job is to capture what is in front of the camera.
Well, I think that's a pretty good interview, Leslie. I think
Thank you,
pretty
Diane.
thorough in explaining that.
I tried not to go too much in the weeds.
That facet of the industry, I think that was a pretty thorough explanation.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.